Starting. All right, and we are live.
Woohoo! We ready to go?
Yes, we are.
All right, awesome. These Hangout things are always a little crazy for me, but welcome everyone. I am really excited about this particular training that we have here today, and I'm really excited to introduce you to these two women who are both very important to me and who make me smile on a daily basis. The training today, what we're going to be talking about is systematizing your business, but not just the scary idea of systematizing your business, but instead really focusing on using a tool that you love, that I love, and that is Evernote. Evernote is such a great tool. It is something that I have used every single day for, oh gosh, I don't know when I downloaded it. I should have figured that out. Probably at least 4 years. I literally use it every single day. It's on every single device that I own. It's the first thing that I add to a new device when I get one. It is my little savior in the computer screen, really. And so when Natasha here, and I'll tell you more about her in just a minute, but when Natasha told me that I could run my whole business on Evernote, I just was ridiculously excited. So
just one second, Tara.
Yeah.
Ladies who are on the call right now in the Hangout room, and everybody who is planning on joining, please mute yourselves so that we are not interrupting Tara.
Awesome, and I'm very glad to see shiny, familiar faces too. Yay! Hi guys. When Natasha told me that I could systematize my business using Evernote and use it to run projects and take care of repetitive tasks, I knew it was absolutely something that I wanted to do, because systematizing has been really key to growing my business over the last few years and really getting good at it this year. So anyhow, let's get into the meat of things, which means I need to introduce first Natasha, and then later I'll introduce the other woman that I'm very excited to introduce you to. But Natasha is a systems expert, and I remember on a call with her not too long ago, she said something to me that was a big light bulb moment for her, but I think something that the rest of us who know her have known for quite a while, which is that Natasha said, you know, I realized the other day that my brain works differently than other people's. And that, in a nutshell, is what makes Natasha so wonderful. Her brain works differently than mine, and probably yours too. She approaches every single thing she sees, every single tool that's out there, as an opportunity to streamline things, to make things, to take the hassle out of things, and most importantly, to take the heartache out of running our businesses. So Natasha works with clients to help them create systems that do exactly that for their businesses. She's a graduate of my 10,000 Feet program. She's a Quiet Power Strategy certified coach. She is amazing. And so Natasha is going to help you use templates in Evernote, teach you how to set up those systems in Evernote, and then later in the call we're going to pull back the curtain on my business, and my special helper is going to share some of the ways that we use Evernote to create massive growth and massive ease in my business every single day. So with that, Natasha, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Tara, and thank you so much for such an amazing introduction. I'm blushing here. Well, just before we start, I want to thank every single one of the people who submitted their questions. I received over 100 emails over the past 3 days, and if I don't get to cover your question, this topic on the call today, I'll definitely get back to you via email, so don't worry about that. And one more thing that I wanted to say before we start is that I will be using Evernote desktop, and I'm on a Mac, but don't be concerned if your Evernote looks slightly different, because in a second I'll share my screen and I'll be showing you how actually some things are. Okay, let me just do this so that you don't lose me. And don't get alerted if your Evernote doesn't look exactly like mine, because desktop versus web, Mac versus Windows, all these versions are slightly different, but the functionality stays the same. So don't worry about that. Plus, you have the recording with the suggestions and the templates that I share with you today. I'll be happy to email them to you after the call together with the link to the recording, so that you have them and you can adapt them to your own business. So with that, let's start. Okay, let me share my screen. What? And my Evernote is not there. That is so weird. All right, let me just. Okay, while I am trying to find. It was working right before. Oh, there it is. Okay, fantastic. So with that, let's start. Okay, let me share. Okay, if we have anybody on the call who is not muted, please do so that we are not interrupted. So, do you see my screen now? Please let me know in the comments. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Terrific. So let me go back to my Evernote. Okay. Cool. So let's begin then. The way we are going to structure this training is that first I'll show you how you can transform Evernote into a business management hub, and then I'll tell you how I can assist you to create your own business operations manual. And as Tara mentioned, we'll also introduce Rosie and have her share how she's been using Evernote to organize Tara's business and keep her in the loop of everything that's happening. So to begin with, let's start with just discussing why we find ourselves in this state of overwhelm when we run our businesses. And actually, I've been in the same state of overwhelm when I started my business 3 years ago. And that happened because I've never had a business before. I've never had an online business. So I spent my entire first year learning what I needed to do as a business owner and what tools could help me. And I've gone through a whole bunch of them. Evernote is one of my all-time favorites. I love it, and I use it religiously since I tried it out. And so today, what I'm going to share with you are tips and tricks that I developed for myself and my own business, so they've been tested very thoroughly. But the good thing is that this similar approach works not just for me. And as you know, Tara and Rosie will share in a bit how they apply this very same framework of how to use Evernote in their business. But let's go back to the reason we get to the point of overwhelm and total exhaustion sometimes. When we start running our businesses, when we're just laying the foundation, even when we are learning these different things and maybe assisting our first clients, we are busy, but there is time and place for everything we do. But as things start to pick up, we receive more inquiries for information. We bring in more and more clients. We grow the range of our offerings. It becomes more and more difficult to just keep an eye on everything. Every area of our business starts demanding attention. And it's not our attention, it's our time, it's our energy. And in order for us to keep up, we have to scale our efforts. And that is our break it or make it moment. Because we cannot scale our businesses if we've never formalized our procedures. So if that never happened, our half-formed systems start breaking down if we haven't done that first. So things start snowballing, and at some point we feel this. We find ourselves in this complete state of overwhelm, burnout, and we get very, very tired. So you don't have to get to that stage, and that is why I want to show you how you can use this very I mean, it's not very simple, but it's a free, fantastic tool, Evernote, that you possibly have already and you've tried it and you love it, so that how you can use it to run your entire business as well. So what I want to show you today, so my goal for you today is for you to see how you can transform your business, your Evernote, into a business management hub. So the very first tip, and the biggest tip actually of today's presentation, is that you've got to start using templates. You've got to organize and see how you can put these processes that you find yourself working on for your business into this step-by-step and record them in Evernote, because they will save you massive amounts of times, massive amounts of time. Templates of individual processes and workflows that you have, and what processes or workflows I'm talking about. So everything that you do more than once, or for which you can identify specific steps, and these steps are the same or nearly the same all the time, can be turned into a template. And it's really about knowing that you'll do it again, and therefore you need to capture this information and identify steps. And it doesn't even have to be your step-by-step. You can follow somebody else's formula, and that can be launch formula or process for creating products. You can still organize that information into a template and use it over and over again. And processes that can be easily turned into templates are very familiar to you already. So whenever you're writing blog posts, or you do podcasts, you guest post, or create a new product and launch it afterwards. It's handling client intake and managing clients afterwards. So everything, again, that you do in your business on more or less regular basis can be turned into a template. And let me show you an example. So you might know that in order for us to manage relationships, what's ideal to use is a CRM, client relationship management software. But again, I've used a number of those. I've tested a number of CRMs, and I ended up using Evernote for managing my relationships. And this is the very template that I use. So these items is nothing else but pieces of information that I record for every new person I want to add to my network. And it doesn't have to, I don't need to fill it out from the very beginning. I will not know all these individual information pieces, and your template doesn't have to be this elaborate either. At least make sure that you record their business name, their contact information, and the reason you think that it would be valuable for you to add that person to your network. But once you've identified these, what you want to know about this person and what information you want to keep about them, make it as your template, and you can give it any name. It can be, say, template new contact. And every time you want to add a new person to your network, all you do is you come to your Evernote, make a copy of that note, copy of your template, replace the word template with the name of this contact person, and fill out as much information as you want about them. And this is an example. Say, Jules is a very dear friend of mine, and this is her kind of my record in Evernote. And then it's easier for me to, first of all, remember what we've chatted about or what I know about Jules. And also, what is useful is to use the reminder feature in order to make sure that you don't forget to follow up with that person. And Evernote allows you add not just the reminder by itself, but also add a date as well. So you know when it's time to touch base with this person again. And that doesn't have to be an email. It can be just sending them something interesting information. It can be introducing them to someone. But if you do keep in touch via email, you can always forward those emails into Evernote again and tag them in a way, or put them into a notebook if you use notebooks to organize your Evernote, and give a link to that email in this main note with the contact. And slowly you will build your this little note with not just information, but all the communication pieces that you've had with that person too. So you will have everything that you know about that person, plus what we've talked about before with them in this one single note. That's why, to me, using Evernote versus going to another software and logging in and looking for that contact and syncing it with my email, if that feature exists, in order for the software to track my communication with them. It's a bit more cumbersome than just using Evernote. Plus, I can add into Evernote all those individual pieces of information that I know about this person, or maybe I took a screenshot of our conversation on Facebook or something and put it again into Evernote. That's why, to me, it's so much easier to use Evernote to manage my relationships. But let's look at another example, and this is client intake. It is very important to formalize your client intake process. And by client intake, I mean that's the period of time that happens between the client saying yes to working with you and right at the time when they begin working with you. So that is the client intake period of time. And you need to make sure that your client intake is this clear step by step, not just for you so it was easy for you to manage, but for your client as well, because then they feel taken care of. Then they feel that they are in the hands of an expert. But don't underestimate the fact that it will be much easier for you to manage as well, because just like we mentioned before, when you have just a handful of clients, you can still remember who needs to send you something or who you need to follow up with if they didn't do something. But as your client roster grows, and that can be individual clients or that can be high-end group clients as well, you'll go crazy if you continue relying on your memory, trying to see what needs to happen and who is at what stage of this client intake process. So this is an example of my client intake, and this is client intake for a package client who I work with between 3 and 6 months. And this is from the point where we already had a diagnostic consultation and they already said yes to working with me. So what happens after that is that I send them a contract, and you can see that here I have a template. So again, I'm working just with this Evernote note. I'm going to Dropbox to pull up the template, but the link is right here, so I don't really need to go and look for that document and get distracted by something else. But I prepare a contract and send them to the client. I follow up if necessary that the contract has been signed. Then the invoice goes out, and once it's paid, the client receives the welcome package. And that is a document that helps me to set boundaries with the client. So there is a link to the scheduler, an explanation how to set up their meetings and how often there are timelines. I also explain the client how they need to behave if they miss a meeting or deadline or something like that. So it's a very important document that needs to be sent as well. And here's my template too.
Hey, Natasha.
Yeah.
Do you want your screen share up, or do you want to be talking to the camera?
I wanted to have my screen share up actually.
Okay.
It's not showing.
We're seeing you.
Oh.
And at first I thought maybe it was just me, but then Sean Tuttle graciously made a comment.
Thank you.
No problem. I actually found it I was thinking, okay, this makes sense. I can see this, but it would probably also be very helpful to actually see it. So maybe if you could just show us a snapshot of what you were looking at. You had your screenshot up for a moment before, and then it switched back.
Yeah, because that's what I thought that was happening, which is very strange. Maybe, okay, let me.
While you're looking at that, why don't I will interject a little bit and talk about client intake is one of the things that we decided to streamline and systematize about 2 years ago, really, when we started onboarding clients for 10,000 feet. That's now Quiet Power Strategy. Because it was a group program and we were bringing a lot of kind of, what would be almost one-to-one clients on, but doing so in a group, it was really important to make sure that we had each of the little buttons ticked off, so that everyone, like Natasha said, felt taken care of, felt like their needs were being met, and so that we were sure that we had everything we needed as well. So some of the things that we include in our client intake process are getting contact information, finding out more about what someone's goals are, what someone's existing questions or existing problems are. We also include our coaching agreement in the intake process, the initial deposit for the program, and so that all gets categorized so that it's part of the system that we use, so that every single client comes in and has the same experience from start to finish. The other nice thing about that is that I don't have to do it. So either my assistant, Megan, who lots of you have communicated with in the past, will do it, or Rosie, who we're going to introduce in a little bit, she'll take care of it. So, and the other nice thing to point out there too is that not only does it not have to be me, but it also can be any number of people who are on my team, because if you can share an Evernote document with someone, if you can say, hey, these are the things you need to check off for every client that comes on board, that doesn't require training, that doesn't require know-how, that doesn't require any kind of special expertise. All it requires is being able to follow this step-by-step process. So it's easier for you, it's easier for your team members, and it's easier for your clients who also end up feeling better taken care of. So client intake process is one of the absolute first things I would suggest to almost any business getting started with in terms of systems. And so, for a one-on-one coaching practice, that might, that's an easy application. For a group coaching practice, that's a fairly easy application. What about the makers, the artists in the group? Well, one really great way to think about this is for your wholesale clients. If you have the goal to grow your wholesale business, which you probably should, you can onboard or have a client intake process for each of your wholesale accounts, so that you also know they're feeling taken care of, that they're having a great experience with you. Because the better experience one of your clients has, or one of your wholesale accounts has, the more likely they are to reorder from you, or to talk about your products more, or to have that story to talk about your products. So there's all sorts of ways that you can apply this idea of the client intake process to really streamline your business and also just deliver amazing customer service and amazing customer experiences. How you doing, Natasha?
Well, the screen share is not working, so I'll be happy to talk into the camera, and what I will do is that I'll record the presentation with the screencast by itself first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll share it in addition to this Hangout. So
awesome.
It was perfectly working before we went live, and then something happened. So I'll have to figure out what exactly happened. So all these templates that I wanted to show you, and there was a very my new invention that I wanted to show Rosie first, because I think that she would appreciate it. But okay, that will be in the recording. in addition to that. But okay, so thank you so much, Tara, for explaining, for giving a bit more information about client intake and how important it is. So the way I use it in Evernote is that I have this single note with all these steps that outline what needs to happen after that, after which step. And once I go through the process, once I get every new client, I just make a copy of that note, and as I go through these steps, I just check them off. And what's also great is that at the point where you want to be using somebody's assistance, and that might be for the entire process or for some individual steps, what you can do, you can share that note with your team member and have them help you. And what is going to help to manage that process is that, first of all, use this feature in Evernote with check mark boxes, so that each one of you knows when each step happens, so that's and check off something that's been done. Also put initials before each of the individual tasks, so you can put your initials before tasks that you need to do, and initials of your assistant or just VA in front of the task that your assistant will be taking care of, so that each one of you knows what they're responsible for. And this is also very helpful, and this would apply to any process, not just client intake. And when you share with your team member a template of the entire process, they first of all feel much more engaged, because they know how what they do fits into the entire process. And in addition to that, they can also estimate their time when they need to do something. So they'll be keeping an eye on this step by step, and once they see that the steps are being checked off and the time is approaching for them to jump in and do something, then they know that, okay, like I'll need to set aside this amount of time in order to make this happen. So it's not that you'll be asking somebody to jump in the last minute and have them help you. So it's best for everybody involved, and it's easy, because with Evernote you can share notes, and you can even use this new function, work chat, to have very short conversations. Plus, Evernote keeps them all, so that if you discuss something and you're not sure what you agreed on, you can always go back and look at that. So that was the template that I was going to show you for client intake. But once this client has submitted all the documents, they paid the invoice, I've sent them the welcome packet, they jump and they become a client. And after that, I use the next template, and that is the template that I created for everybody who I'm working with on a long-term basis. And on top of it is just general information about the client, the goals that we've set for the client, the systems that we'll be creating together, the timeline. I'm also referencing all these documents that they've submitted to me, so I have their contract at the tip of my fingers, so I have the welcome packet. So if I at any point need to reference any information, again, all I do is I go into that client note and look up something that I need to look up. What I also use is for each one of our calls, I have created a list of prompts for myself, and that is to see to ask the client what they've been struggling with, or what they've accomplished since the last time. I also note what we talked about that specific day and what was the homework. So all that gets also recorded in that single note. So I'm just using one single note for that. It's just the write-ups, and they are like really several lines. It's nothing major, but a write-up about the latest meeting gets posted on the top. So when I have my next conversation with a client, then I can look at that and reference something or follow up on something, and then the client feels taken care of, and I don't have to look for pieces of paper where I wrote something, or try to remember what they told me, or what what they were dealing with. So using templates is really easy, and it doesn't make you feel constrained at all. All templates do, they allow you, they give you space not to think about things that need to happen in specific order, because just like I mentioned before, in the beginning, when there is time to think about every single step, and we're not as active, and we're not as pulled in different directions, that's one thing. But as we start managing more and more things, and we try and keep more and more things in our head, and more information comes our way, and we try to make mental notes about every single thing, then it's inevitable that things start falling through the cracks. So why not rely on such a tool like Evernote to capture all that information? And what Evernote allows you to do is record information in so many different formats. It's you can upload PDFs, you can reference links, and all links in Evernote are live. So when you want to put a link to a Dropbox document, that link will be live. Or Google Plus, Google Drive document, that link will be live. You can even put links to individual notes as well. And it's just you select a note, right-click on it, and there is an option to get the link to the note. So that's how you cross-reference notes as well. And this was one of the questions actually for the training today. And one of the ladies asked how she can manage projects. So what I do, and this is my biggest trick when I manage projects, is that, okay, I start, and there will be individual notes. Maybe there will be notes with research, and there'll be notes with some individual pieces. For example, Tara helped me to create this amazing template of product development template. So I use that to work on the product, to create the product first. So there'll be a collection of individual notes. But then again, I would open up a new note, and I would start recording every single piece there, cross-referencing the links, whether it's links to the documents, links to web pages, it can be links to other notes. So there is this, again, massive note with different categories, and that can be category for tech stuff that needs to happen, category for creating content, category for the sales page, for the product itself. So when you have everything in that single note, it is very easy to find information you're looking for. It is very easy to bring somebody on board, because then they can see the entire scope of the project. And especially when you bring somebody in the middle of a project and they're looking for something, they'll be bugging you all the time to see to find out where they can find that information. But when they have that note before them, they can easily find information, or if they don't find information, then they know what exactly to ask you, and you can add that. So use that tip as well. And something that I wanted to show you and share it with first with Rosie is that this is something that I thought about relatively recently, which is I don't know. To me, it's just a bit strange that it occurred to me only just a few weeks ago. Is that these all individual notes for that contain these templates for processes that you have, they can, depending on how you organize your information in Evernote, they can be in a notebook, say it's your templates notebook, or if you're relying more on tags, then you can tag them in a uniform way. That's another way. But what I did, again, I created one single note, and it's kind of like almost like business map or even overview of my entire business operations manual, in a way that lists all these individual areas of my business and the templates that pertain to that specific area. So under marketing, for example, there is a checklist for the Google Plus Hangout, how to organize the webinar checklist, launch checklist, product creation checklist. So all those pieces are under, or like links to individual notes are under specific category, and that note is pinned to the top. It's in my shortcuts, and you can drag a note to put it into shortcuts, or you can set a reminder, and then it's pinned to the top of the list of your notes, and that creates this little shortcut that allows you to access that note very, very quickly. So that's why, to me, Evernote is such an amazing place to keep information, not only individual pieces of information or something, but information about your business as well. And before I give back the mic to Tara, I wanted to say a few words about how to manage all these individual tasks that you will be then adding to your list. So you have your templates, you know what needs to happen and when, but then it's just a collection of these individual items that need to happen. How do you just like pull it together and keep track of everything? So what I did is that my recommendation is actually, and this is again like something that works for me and for many of my clients, is that we create weekly task lists. So it's, yes, on a daily basis you'll have a million things to do. That doesn't change. But what I invite you to do is to create a weekly list of core things that need to happen in your business, so that your business operations are sustained at a certain level. So like the bare minimum that needs to happen, and that can be posting blog posts, maybe going on social media and socializing. It can be building relationships like we talked about before. It can be doing client work or working on client projects. So just if you don't know at the moment what you do on a weekly basis, just take a few days, take Monday through Friday, and see what you do and what needs to happen, and create this rough list of items that you are taking care of on a regular basis, and then look at your schedule like Monday through Friday again and see what would fit best where. The good thing about this approach is that it doesn't have to happen on a specific day, unless it's a client meeting, of course, which will be managed in your calendar. That core list of activities is very flexible. It's just for you to see what needs to happen and what is your availability for other things. So make sure that you also set aside time on that weekly task list to work on your top priority items. And those are items that will move your business forward. So there'll be this approximately 1 to 2 ratio of things that you do in order to move your business forward, and that's one part. And 2 parts maintaining the business, so that you don't fall behind. Because if you are working by yourself, or you have very little help, if you just give all your energy and time into launching something or creating something new, and if you don't really spend time on doing stuff that needs to happen, for example, if you write blog posts, like you don't have time to write your blog posts. If social media is a platform that brings in new people into your network and you no longer on social media, then it will definitely affect your business. So make sure that there is this, it's not going to be balanced, but it's going to be this ratio where you will be ensuring that you're moving your business forward, but at the same time you are not falling behind on stuff that needs to happen no matter what. And in order for you to keep track of all that, make sure that you also do end of the week reviews. And basically all you do, something that I did not mention is that that core list of tasks also exists in a note, and that's a template that I use, and I tweak it week to week, and what changes mostly is the priority items that I add. So it depends on the project that I'm working on. So those items can be changing, and I try not to do more than 5 priority items a week. So usually it's 3 to 5, because otherwise it will be too much. Naturally, as you bring on board more people and other people can help you manage your day-to-day, then the story will be different. Then you can go full speed and work on something new. But if you are just at the point where you are starting to formalize your processes and you are still trying to see how to find time for every single activity in your business, then make sure that you are not neglecting the things that really have to happen. So the weekly reviews that I mentioned is very important part as well, because what you do during those weekly reviews is you look at the week that passed. Like, you pull up that note that you had for the week, you look at the items that did happen, you look at the items that did not happen, and you actively actually move them to the next week. So it's not that things are just rolling over from one week to the next, but it's you are making sure that the items that need to happen are moved to the next week, and then things that did not happen, like you really examine them and see if it's something that doesn't happen consistently, maybe, and it's an important thing, maybe it's time to bring somebody on board to help you with that thing. Or if it's something that you don't have time for and it didn't really affect anything, maybe you should not even be doing that. So like, those are your strategic meetings. Like, those are your times where you work on your business. You look at what is happening and what are those things that are not making to the list versus what goes very smoothly, and then you proceed accordingly. And lastly, again, just like I mentioned before, what is very useful is to either drag that note into your shortcuts or set a reminder to it so that you have access to that weekly task list, and that's the list that you will be referring to on a regular basis to see what needs to happen. Another thing that I was asked is integration with calendar. It's not calendar. Evernote doesn't have its own calendar, but if you use services like IFTTT or Zapier, you can easily integrate Evernote with the calendar. So those kind of commitments that have to happen on a specific date, whether it's a meeting or it's a very strict deadline, or you scheduled an interview with somebody, make sure that those items get on your calendar so you don't miss them. But otherwise, Evernote can be a great place to keep all your to-dos, and you will be able to keep track of them by using the suggestions that I have just mentioned. So I will now give floor back to Tara and Rosie, and we'll hear about how they use Evernote.
Awesome. Well, that was an incredible wealth of information, and as Natasha always gives. But I want to give you a really specific application that we use in my business that's really produced phenomenal results over the last 6 months or so. So about 6 months ago, I decided that I really needed some management help in my business. Not just someone who could execute, here and there, but someone who would help me see the bigger picture and then manage what was happening within that bigger picture. I'm an INTP, I'm a maestro. These are not my strong suits. I'm really good at seeing the big picture, and more importantly, I'm really good at coming up with the big picture. I'm less good at seeing the details that need to happen in each of those things, and even less good at managing those details. So I knew that was an area that I needed to hire in, and I also knew that I knew somebody that was uniquely suited for that role, in that she knows how to communicate with me really, really well. She's run her own business where she managed things like this, executed on details, and managed a lot of different working parts, a lot of different clients, and a lot of different types of tasks. And she happened to be my mom. And so my mom is on the call with us right now. This is Rosanna Nevius, or Rosie, as we call her. And so bringing her on board into my business has allowed me to do all sorts of things that had, as Natasha said, been falling through the cracks. One of the things that had really been falling through the cracks was the administration of my membership community, Kickstart Labs. Kickstart Labs had grown to the point where I was basically just able to keep up with creating some new content, managing discussions, and getting on, our twice monthly Q&A calls. But the admin side had really been neglected for a while, and while that didn't necessarily show on the surface, although I could see it, which bothered me, although it didn't necessarily show on the surface, where it was showing was on the bottom line. And so one of the very first things we did, I think we lost her. One of the very first things we did when we brought my mom on board, when we brought Rosie on board, was to say, okay, Kickstart Labs needs to be your top priority. This needs to be the first thing that you figure out how you want to manage on the back end. And since we brought her on board and since she started managing these things, we've seen an 80% growth rate in membership, which translates to thousands of dollars more per month. That's thousands of dollars more per month in recurring revenue. That's predictable recurring revenue in my business. And really, we've just done three main things. And those three things are things that can be really easily managed on Evernote. So hopefully Rosie will join us again, but let me tell you what those three specific things are. There they are. That's what I want. Okay, so the first thing that we needed to figure out how to just kind of I keep using the word manage, but that's the right word here. We needed to figure out how to manage the membership of our email list. Most of the process of Kickstart Labs, joining the e-commerce part, the internal marketing of it or the internal engagement of it, that's all automated and it works super well. What wasn't automated, and what we still don't have a solution for in terms of automation, is taking people off the membership list or off the membership email list when they decide to cancel. And so that was one thing that I know I needed to have her do. So the first thing, so all we had to do with that is create a note that she just sets a weekly reminder on, and then that way she's alerted to go in, see who dropped off, take them off the email list, and mark it as complete. Really simple, but really effective. It's those little reminder things that really keep the business moving. And so while that's not necessarily something that adds to the bottom line, it certainly adds to my peace of mind, and that and that makes it easier to grow the community, knowing that that's being taken care of. Another thing. Oh, there she came back. Another thing that we've been working on is keeping member accounts up to date. And really what that means is that, when you run a membership community, when there's a recurring payment, a subscription, it's very difficult it's very easy for customers to not know when their membership or when their subscription fee doesn't go through for whatever reason. Sometimes it's on purpose, and that's fine. I'm happy, or I'm not happy when people cancel, but I'm happy to give people an easy option for canceling. But at the same time, we wanted to check in with people whose payments maybe just didn't go through because there wasn't money in the account, or maybe a credit card, the expiration date went past and they needed to update their credit card information. So we've been able to manage and systematize, making sure that those systems are up to date. So Rosie, welcome back. Can you tell us a little bit about the system that you use for keeping the member accounts up to date? What features of Evernote you use with that?
Okay. First of all, we do go by notebooks, and I have a Kickstart Labs notebook, and one of the notes within that has to do with keeping track of our email list and checking out our membership as it ebbs and flows, as these things do. Within that note, as Natasha was saying, I keep quick links to the Kickstart Labs administration, where I know where the orders and the subscriptions are. Also a quick link to MailChimp so that I can, you know, rectify, take people off of the list if they happen to cancel out. Another note in that Kickstart Labs folder is for what Tara was just talking about. If a payment lapses for one reason or another, we don't know, we want them to stay, I just have a nice little script that I have within that note that I do copy and paste into emails to say, you know, gee, we'd really like for you to stay. We see that your payment failed, you know, yada, yada, yada. And that is right there, a quick thing for me to do as I'm managing that. I could put it in a Google email, but if I get sick or if I go on vacation, then someone else, Megan or heaven forbid Tara, could go in there and actually take care of those things themselves. The other thing that we have is a note with keeping track of KPIs. Like number of active members in the group, number of new subscribers that week. I do this on a weekly basis. And we also, I go into our G Plus community and keep track of all the how many new threads were started that week. So we can tell how active the group was that week. I have reminders on each one of those notes that I reset weekly after I finish it. I just want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. So it's a really nice feature that they have, and really easy to click on that little calendar at the top and change the date for the next week. And then I don't have to worry about it for another week. The reminders come up and I do the tasks. We have seen quite. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, let me pause you there for a minute and just clarify that last point that you made about KPIs, because I think this is something that a lot more people should be using, something that a lot more people should put attention to, because what you put attention to grows, right? So KPIs are key performance indicators. They're the metrics in your business that allow you to track growth. And so Rosie mentioned the 3 metrics that we track specifically for the Kickstart Labs community, which is new members, or active members, existing members, new subscribers each week, and then that really important last one, which is how many new conversations pop up in our membership community. Because we know that more conversations equals more engagement from our community, and more engaged community members are likely to stick around longer. So while those first 2 numbers give us kind of the hard and fast data on how many people are paying for the community every month, it's that last number, the number of new conversations, that allows us to track how, it allows us to anticipate how those other numbers are going to move. And so when you bring attention to all 3 of those numbers, you can actually create the plan of action that you need to push the needle on those numbers. And that's how you go about creating something like 80% growth and thousands of dollars of recurring revenue in your business every month. So that's something that I would love to see more people doing in our business community here, and I'd love to see more people using Evernote to do it, because it just makes such an easy, an easy way to keep track of all of that stuff. So I know we're starting to get low on time. So Rosie, why don't you just share about one more feature of Evernote that I know you're really enjoying using, which is the work chat feature, and this is brand new. So why don't you just tell us a couple little things about why this is working well for us, and how you personally are using it.
Well, with Work Chat, just to back up just a little bit, before Work Chat came out, the way we would do our conversing on notes was we would, each of our on the team would add our comments on a note that was existing, either highlight it or change the color or whatever, initial it. But now we have work chat, and we can hit the share button in the top and actually share a note within work chat, discuss it. Changes then can be made. It really makes things less cluttered that way, and I'm so excited about that coming out.
Yes, there was a little hooting and hollering at Team Tara that day. So
For
awesome. Sure. Well, Natasha, what's next on the game plan?
Well, on that note, and the fact that Evernote is amazing to manage our businesses, I wanted to just say a few words about the new program that I'm launching. I mean, it's not entirely new. I launched Systematic Success last year around the same time. But what I realized as I was working with the participants is that there was a bit of a challenge of them applying the theory that I had on the membership side to their individual tools that they've been using. And sometimes they weren't even using any tools. They were trying to piece together that information and see how it could work. So since then, I've launched Evernote for small business guide, and I realized that what would be very useful is that I work with a group who I don't really send to a membership site to get the information about the program, about the way to create individual systems, but actually share a notebook with them and send information about the system directly into Evernote, guide them step by step of how you can create that system directly in their Evernote so that they can use it immediately, even before the course is over. So this is going to be an 8-week course that we'll be covering 4 systems. It's client intake, relationship management, social media, and blog posting. Like these core systems that kept coming up in the previous groups over and over again. I know that it's something that is incredibly important. And the fact that I will share the framework of how you create systems, it will help to create systems for the rest of the activities that the participants are dealing with on a regular basis. Plus, they'll get the bonus, the Evernote for Small Business Guide, so they'll have that guidance if they want to use that framework before we even finish the course on other systems, on other areas of their business. Plus, there'll be community. Plus, this is very first time that I'll be doing this in Evernote, so I imagine this will be very, very tight collaboration between all of us, because it's very new to me as well. But I'm super excited because it's just playing in a sandbox. It's creating systems directly in Evernote. So those are my news. And if you're interested in something like this, there is a button right underneath this video holder, and you can learn more about Systematic Success 2.0 if you click on that link. And if you have questions, you can always ask me, and I'll be happy to get back to you. The cart will be closing next Friday, January 29th, so you have a few more days to decide, but otherwise let me know if it's something that you think might help you to organize your business in a better way, and make sure that you do that using Evernote.
Awesome. Are we good? Do we have time for a couple questions, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. And I was looking at the questions that were posted. First of all, yes, the Hangout was full, but I see that practically everyone was able to watch from the event page. And once again, I will record another presentation with the screenshots, and where basically I'll record my screen as I go over the same pieces in Evernote. Plus, I will send all these templates that I mentioned that you can then adopt to your business, so that you can use it as well. So that will be done in a few hours. Let me see. So Irene asked that, she said she's an artist and she's just getting started in creating business to promote her art. Any suggestions on best practices for using Evernote? So my suggestion to Irene is to look at those activities that you want to do in order to promote your art. And in the beginning, you might play with different approaches, and depending on what you do and how you do it. Just see what works, what brings in most revenue, or what brings more people to see your work. And once you have decided what will be those main activities that you will be using to promote your art, then make sure to create a similar template that we talked about before. Outline it step by step, and maybe in the beginning it will not be this ideal, optimal step by step. The good thing with Evernote is that there are no individual different versions that you'll be saving. Whenever something changes, come back to this note, make the change, and next time you do it, first of all, you will have this checklist to go by. When you can bring somebody on board, you'll be able to bring them and help you with that process. And plus, you will ensure that you fine-tune that process as you go along and see how things are progressing.
Brilliant. Well, awesome. I think I've got the top of the hour. Is that what you've got?
All right.
So let's let these people get back to their Evernote and make this stuff happen. I just want to say, I think, Systematic Success is a brilliant program. I'm really excited about the changes Natasha's made to it to really include that hands-on support right in Evernote. I think that's going to be an amazing addition to the program and really help you get all of the results that you can get from that. And of course, those results are a more streamlined, a less energy intensive, a faster growing business, all with more ease. And I think that that's what we all want for ourselves. And I really have to say that time after time after time, Natasha blows my mind with her ability to narrow in on how to get exactly that. She's really uniquely qualified, has a unique brain for these things to make those things happen. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks for letting me introduce Natasha to you. Thanks for letting me introduce my mama to you. And thanks for letting me share a bit about how we run my business through Evernote to create all of those amazing results that we talked about. So have a fantastic rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and hopefully I will see you again very soon.
Thank you so much, Tara. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for being here.